Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, or good midday. Depending on when you listen to this, I'm Kamaal Daniels, and it is April the 12th at 7:31 a.m., and this is the Peng Sports Podcast, episode 11. With it being April the 12th, this marks the last day of Ramadan. Sadly, today is clouded by the airstrikes in Gaza. I know most of the population in Gaza are Muslim. And to touch on this subject for a moment, I believe, being from the United States, we have the thought that we cannot do anything. We somewhat feel hopelessness. But I would say to that is you can do something about it. And this is why you vote. Voting is important. And who you vote for is important. Like what topics you vote for, what amendments or what laws you vote for, and what the people you vote for. Because knowing your representatives is key, knowing their history, knowing their views. And just because they belong to a select political party doesn't mean you necessarily have to vote for them, if that makes sense. Vote for the best candidate or the person that agrees with you the most. Because when you get into those voting booths, no one knows. And if you want to tell a lie so you don't get judged, that's perfectly fine. But vote who you think's the best candidate, and vote who you think will help the country or help your local government out the most. And I know what a lot of people are probably saying, probably not a lot, but some people may be thinking right now, stay in your lane, Kamaal. But what I have to say to this is my lane. I live in the United States, and I'm a human being, so I feel emotions. So when people are killed or hurt by an airstrike, maybe that the United States could have helped or helped prevented, I do believe that I do have the right to say something, and this is my lane to speak on it. But again, my thoughts go out to everyone in Gaza, and as a human race, we do have to get better as a people. I believe we're getting better, but we have to get better and get better. The job's not finished at all. But switching to a less dense topic, or a topic about what you came here for, sports. And happy Ramadan. Congratulations to everyone who completed their spiritual journey, or however you want to describe the experience. But congratulations to everyone. I know Kyrie Irving was practicing Ramadan, so congratulations to him. But speaking on sports, let's talk about Tebow. That's been the big topic this week. And I'm a Jacksonville Jaguars fan from Jacksonville, born and raised in Jacksonville. And the Jaguars are my team. But like most things you're invested in, they are prone to do something you do not agree with. So if you, let's say you have a child, your child's not going to make all the right choices, but you still love them and you still respect them. With the Jaguars, I feel this way right now. They're doing nothing wrong. They're doing nothing illegal. But do I agree with what they're doing? No. This falls along the lines of what we talked about a few weeks ago with the Super League. There's nothing wrong with what the Jaguars are doing, but morally, is it right? And the answer to that, personally, is no. And why is this morally incorrect? Well, let me tell you one side of it. One side of it, if you're ever curious about what white privilege looks like in the United States, it comes in various shapes and sizes, but here's an example of it. A guy who, I won't say, I don't know Tim Tebow, I don't know what his workout regimen is, I don't know what he does, but compared to a lot of people, compared to a lot of people who play tight end, I would say they're more qualified to play tight end. They played tight end a long time ago. There's probably younger options. Tebow's in his early 30s. And he just gets a job because he knows or has a connection. Not necessarily qualified, not necessarily the best, most adequate guy. He's there to just be there, and he's not the qualified. Again, are the Jaguars doing anything illegal or against league policy? No. Now, do I believe that this is a no football story? And what do I mean by a no football story? We're getting into the dog days of summer where baseball and NBA free agency, and there's some playoffs end early June or late June, early July. So we're getting into that stage where we're going to get into stories, a bunch of hypotheticals, a bunch of this, we're going to make a lot of mountains out of molehills. Or molehills out of mountains. Some along those lines. And this is one of those, I believe. Do I think that Tim Tebow is going to be a starter for the Jaguars? No. Is there a chance Tim Tebow can get cut from the Jaguars? Yes. Do I believe the Jaguars signed Tim Tebow to make money? Yes. Tim Tebow's from Jacksonville. Well, he's not from Jacksonville, but he's from the greater Jacksonville area. He's going to sell jerseys, and people are going to turn the TV. When their team is getting blown out, when the Bills are blowing out the Browns, and Bills fans want to watch a different game, or Browns fans want to watch a different game, oh, the Jaguars are on and one of Tebow's playing. So they're going to turn to Tebow. So yes, I understand the business aspect of it. Maybe it's not necessarily a total racial thing, because it isn't. It's not always black and white. It's usually gray most of the times in life. Yes, it's a money move. I see that 100%. And there's another side to this. Probably the last side, but there's another side I want to talk about it. The Urban Meyer side. Urban Meyer isn't showing us anything different from when he was in Florida, when he had multiple players convicted of felonies, misdemeanors. He had multiple convicted players from when he hired Chris Doyle and now Tim Tebow. This is the price you pay with Urban Meyer. And is it a big price? It depends on who you ask. He's going to have his faults and he's going to do things his way, but usually what happens is he wins. Now, the difference between Urban Meyer then and Urban Meyer now is Urban Meyer hasn't proved anything with the Jaguars. So this is why it's somewhat a little risky. But when are the Jaguars ever front page news? When Tom Coughlin is being called the worst president of football operations in the league? Usually when the Jags make front page news in recent times, it's not good news unless we're talking about the 2018 season. But shout out to Ryan Clark from ESPN for helping me develop that Urban Meyer take, because this is what Urban Meyer does, and you can find Ryan Clark's take if you want to look at that on YouTube. You can also find this episode on YouTube on pingsports.com. But what are your thoughts on Tebow's situation? I do believe that he's there to make money, but there's definitely more layers to this. And there's very different avenues that you can go on when you talk Tim Tebow. So we're talking about a guy who just got hired by the Jaguars, or just got brought in by the Jaguars. Let's talk about a guy who maybe are out at his job. Mikel Arteta at Arsenal Football Club. If you read my first article on the pingsports.co page, you probably read Mikel and Ole. And I say stick with the managers through tough times. But Arsenal are 10th in the league. They're out of Europa League, and it seems like they're not going to make Champions League. Well, it seems like this is the right time to fire Mikel Arteta. It's just not going to work out. He's been there 2 years. Unai Emery already went to at least one Europa League final. He won the FA Cup, but it was during COVID. There's too many variables of why Mikel Arteta should be out the door. Well, when you look at this, and I think this is a constant thing that fans and people overlook. How good is your team? Because that matters. Should a coach be fired when your team isn't that good? Like when Anthony Lane got fired by the Chargers. When you look at that Chargers team with no offensive line and not a very good team overall, and you have a promising quarterback like Justin Herbert, that team's not supposed to be that good. So their record showed how good they were supposed to be. Everyone wants a overachiever, and sometimes you can't always get the overachieving. Sometimes you're just going to get what you deserve. And I believe when you show glimpses like winning the FA Cup final, making to the Europa League semifinals, it shows some promise. And this Arsenal side is young, inexperienced. They're not a great Arsenal side. Of course, if this team was Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Sol Campbell's side, okay, yeah. I understand why he should be fired. You're getting knocked out of the Europa League. You're 10th in the Premier League. But you look at this Arsenal side. This is a 10th place side, with Gabriel constantly hurt, David Luiz constantly hurt, Leno not being on form, Aubameyang not being on form, Lacazette actually being on form, Saka being 19-20, Emile Smith-Rowe being 19-20. These guys are young. Your best player is 19. And you expect to win? To be Premier League champions? Top 4 in the Prem? No. No, you can't expect that. What you can expect is 10th in the Premier League, and maybe you make the Europa League semifinal. I do think Mikel does need to get better. I think when one of your best players, Aubameyang, is not on form, I think that some of the onus does go on Mikel. But what a lot of managers don't have is a style of play. And what a lot of managers don't have is knowing their team. And those two things I can say for a fact Mikel knows how to do. Because he knows the style which he wants to play, which is important. And he knows his team very well. He knows he can put Xhaka at left back, even though it may not make sense to everyone else. He trusts Xhaka, and Xhaka's willing to play that. I believe Mikel needs a center back and a midfielder, and that's how we can truly judge Mikel. When Mikel has the team, not necessarily the expectations, but the team. We give him these high expectations because he does so well, and then when he doesn't meet those criteria, when he punches over his weight class, we expect that 25-8. But no. This Arsenal side is a 10th place side, and they're exactly where they're supposed to be. And it's difficult to judge how good your manager is when your best player is a 19-year-old. But speaking of Mikel's predecessor, Mikel's mentor, Pep Guardiola just won the Premier League with Manchester City, so congratulations to Manchester City. That's 3 out of the last 4, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, 3 out of the last 4 Premier Leagues. Dominated the 10s decade. It's impressive. If he's not considered to be the greatest manager of all time, I like to hear that argument. Because I think In a lot of instances, I don't believe there's a lot of GOATs in sports, but I do believe Pep Guardiola does have the resume to at least be in the conversation for greatest manager of all time. So, last week I talked about the Nets, right? And I briefly touched on this, and I said we have to accept that the Nets may just be unhealthy for the rest of the season. Like this Nets squad, when they get healthy, that's what everyone's saying. When they get healthy, they're going to be a team to beat. But I'm saying maybe we just need to accept that this team's just going to be KD and Kyrie, or Kyrie and James, or KD and James. Because Kyrie got injured other night with a concussion. But there's another team that we have to put in that category now. And that's the Lakers. With AD constantly getting injured, and LeBron James probably not being at 100% ever again, which is what he said. I think this is going to be, for the rest of this year at least, a half healthy team. Dennis Schroeder gets hurt. I think this is another team that we have to expect is going to be unhealthy. And with that point, with LeBron James saying that he'd never be at 100%, I sort of touched on this last week. We have to start looking at LeBron James as one of those players. And one of those players are, when we go into every NBA season, there's always the team. I don't know who, I don't know which team, it's different teams every year. Early in the 2010s, about 2012 to 2013, this Bulls team could be really good if Derrick Rose stays healthy. I think we have to start saying that with the Lakers. This Lakers team can be really good if LeBron can stay healthy. If AD can stay healthy. Because let's think about this. As I said, AD's always getting injured. If you blow on AD too hard, you may injure him. Baller, really good. He's really good at basketball. But injury prone. LeBron James, getting injured 2 of the last 3 seasons. And one of the seasons, last season, he had a break in between in the season. Almost a 2-month break, 3-month break. I forget how long the break was between the end of the NBA and the bubble. But 2 of the last 3 seasons, LeBron James been injured. We give him credit for being indestructible for 15 years. And yes, when you build up that credit, you deserve it. But this isn't a credit card bill. This is sports. And the common analogy is Father Time's undefeated. And we have to accept that LeBron James is now an injury-prone player. And there's nothing against it. Everyone gets injuries. It's surprising that he hasn't gotten injuries now. Hasn't gotten injuries early in his career. But with all that said, and the Lakers being injured and hobbled, they're still the best team in the West. And it looks like my hypothetical with the Lakers and Clippers isn't going to happen. And it looks like the Lakers, I'm saying somewhat of my predictions early, but I believe the Lakers are going to beat the Warriors, and they're going to play the Suns. And the Suns are looking in trouble. They're looking like they're in big trouble. And I'm not saying this is just going to be, they're going to get knocked out, because that's 100% going to happen if they play the Lakers, I believe. I think the Lakers may beat them in 4 or 5. I don't think it's going to be a good playoff experience for Devin Booker. I really don't. I think the Lakers, a fully Lakers team, maybe not fully, but a 90% healthy Lakers team with LeBron James beating 80% there, I think they sweep the Suns. Of course, I don't know how many games, but I believe it's like 1 or 2 or 3 games left. But I do not think the Suns have enough games to get back. I think they've lost 20 games and the Jazz have lost 19. And the Jazz have like 150, something around that. But I think they're a 2 seed, and I do believe the Lakers will beat whoever the Warriors in the play-in game. Now, from the Lakers to the most winningest franchise in NBA to the second most winningest franchise in the NBA, the Celtics. Talking about another ESPN pundit, and Jay Williams had another great point about the Celtics. A lot of the blame goes on the Celtics players. Jason Tatum didn't show up tonight, scored 9 points. Marcus Smart takes bad shots sometimes. Naismith is a great player, but he's just a role player. Kemba Walker didn't work out. And in some respects, I can see what you're saying. But when you have injuries on a team, what has Frank Vogel done? Okay, he's lost maybe 1 or 2 games, but he's adjusted. And he may have gone under 500, but he's steadied the ship enough so the Lakers can be adequate enough to win games. Well, this Celtics team is the same way. And this is what Jay Williams basically was saying. You got to put some of the blame on Brad Stevens. Because whenever I watch the Celtics, they can play really well for about 5 minutes. They play good basketball, 5 minutes, good defense, good offense. Marcus Smart locks up. Jason Tatum's shooting jump shots. The offense is very easy when they flow it through him. Fournier's hitting threes. Kemba Walker's making jump shots. Kemba Walker's laying it up. They look like a very solid team. And for 5 minutes. And then for the rest of the quarter, for 7 minutes of the quarter, they look like a totally different team. And I said this last week. Where their offense looks stagnant. They don't have a plan. Their defense and the offensive performance bleeds into the defense, where the defense looks confused. They can't get rebounds. They just get totally, like they're totally not in it. And I think that falls on the coaching. Do I think that Brad Stevens is on the hot seat? No. He's made the Eastern Conference Finals 2 of the last 3 seasons. And it's another one of those teams, sort of like Mikel Arteta, where Brad Stevens has punched for 2 of those 3 seasons above his weight class. That Celtics team is supposed to make the, maybe last year. But no, when I look at it, Jason Tatum's how old? 24, 25? Jaylen Brown's how old? 24, 25? You're supposed to be start making the Eastern Conference Finals 27, 28, 29, 30. That's when you're supposed to make it every year. But they've been above their weight class. Now they're 21, 22 making the Eastern Conference Finals. And now you have these high expectations. Yes, you're supposed to have those expectations. But when you really analyze it, when you look at it, they've been punching above their weight class. Not everyone can be LeBron. Not everyone can be Michael Jordan, where they just are these amazingly great players right off the gate, and they can make the finals when they're 22 years old. Of course, they didn't make the finals when they're 22. I believe LeBron was 23. Anyways. But Brad Stevens is not on the hot seat. But I just believe that some of this blame or some of the skid with the Celtics is because or due to the fact that Brad Stevens is not being a good enough coach. But the main reason why, and this is the reason that I haven't heard a lot, but the main reason why the Celtics are necessarily not playing well this season, and I believe have not been necessarily finals or Eastern Conference Finals favorites going into the season, is because they don't play together. A common term in sports is said, availability is the best skill in sports. And this team usually isn't available. All the way when you go back to Kyrie, when he played for the Celtics. injured. When you go now, this season, who was injured this year? Kemba and Marcus, early in the season. Who's injured now? Jaylen Brown. So this team hasn't played together. Kemba Walker doesn't even play in back-to-back games. So not even, and I won't even say a back-to-back, so if you had a game Monday and Tuesday. No, let's say you have a game on Monday, then you have another game on Wednesday. Kemba Walker's not playing that game on Wednesday. He's going to sit out, and then he's going to play the next game. He plays every other game. And that's to save him. So this team doesn't play together. So this team doesn't have chemistry. And when I see last night and see on Sunday when the Heat play the Celtics, I see why the Heat are struggling this season. I 110% believe it. But I also know why they're beating the Celtics. And it's not because they're more talented. Bam Adebayo is somewhat undersized, and I feel like the league is somewhat adjusting to it. That's why I believe Dwayne Dedmon needs to start. Because Bam, if he's the power forward, I think that team's a lot better. But anyways, we're not talking about the Heat. We are talking about the Heat. We're talking about the Heat right now. All I want to say is Jimmy Butler is a very disrespectful player. He's very disrespectful, and I don't like how he plays. There was sarcasm in there. It didn't sound like it, but Jimmy Butler, I love how Jimmy Butler plays. Since you probably didn't catch the sarcasm. Jimmy Butler's a very, very good player. Disrespectful, yes. But good, I will not deny that. But anyways, back to the Celtics. The Celtics' chemistry is off. That's why why they go on these little slumps. Because they don't know what each other's mannerisms are. Marcus Smart can do whatever he wants because Kemba Walker doesn't feel comfortable with calling him out, saying, hey, bro, don't shoot that shot. Let's work it around. Hey, pass out the ball, Kemba, when you're driving to the hole. I'm wide open in the corner. I'm going to do that every single time. It's not a Draymond Green, Steph Curry. That's a tough thing to get. But you can get some kind of chemistry. Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball have chemistry. Now, on to some more positive news in the NBA. And I believe the Celtics are going to be fine. I believe this is, again, we got to think about the circumstances of everything. This is a COVID season. Partial fans traveling all over. Jason Tatum probably can't see his son like he wants to because of COVID. It's a lot of politics and a lot of different things going on right now in this season. So I do believe that if you're going to throw one season out and have a bad season, this is the season to have it. Now, when things get back to normal, I do believe the Celtics will be better. And I do believe that this is, again, an off season. And I do believe, from what everyone's saying, I do believe Kemba Walker's a good signing. Kyrie Irving was a good signing. And the Celtics have had the best trade acquisition in the playoff, in the whole trade deadline, outside of maybe James Harden. But when you talk about role players, Fournier has been playing phenomenal for them. It's looking up for the Celtics. I think you can get short of loss in the short term and say this season was a flop. But I do believe next season the Celtics will be back. But anyways, on to a guy who made history the other night. I watched him play. Russell Westbrook with 182 triple-doubles. Did I say 182? 182 triple-doubles. And there was a point where I was one of those guys. And you could say I may be still that guy because I still take some point guards over Russell Westbrook. Because that's my preference, not because Russell Westbrook is bad. Or these guys are just astronomically better. Steph Curry is a unanimous one, though. No debate. But I was a Westbrook hater. I used to call him Westbrook. And I have to say I have come around on this Westbrook guy. I think people hate on him because he's a tryhard. He's going to try harder. He's going to try everything he can to get one up on you. And no one likes to try hard. No one likes an overachiever. And that's why you don't like him. Because we see those guys in our everyday lives. You don't see a Kevin Durant in your everyday life. You don't see a LeBron James in your everyday life. But you see a Russell Westbrook in your everyday life, and you despise him. Because you say, how can this guy get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, get to work at 7, leave at 6, and his family life is perfect, and I do less than him. I do more than him, or you think whatever you think, whatever you have to say, lie to yourself to say that you're better than him at. But you just can't face the facts that he works harder than you. And he works diligent. He's more diligent than you. And that's where a lot of people hate on Russell Westbrook. Where a guy who averages a triple-double for, I believe, 2 seasons, he makes triple-doubles. Think about what he's made triple-doubles. He's made triple-doubles so regular and so common that people hate on a guy when he gets triple-doubles. It's not a big surprise. Luka Doncic, I believe, has 30-plus triple-doubles in his career. And we're not even saying, hey, good for Luka. It's a normal thing now. You gotta give a man his flowers when he deserves it. 182 triple doubles, Hall of Famer, first ballot, easily. But yeah, man, we gotta get over the hate. Russell Westbrook is a baller. He's a tryhard, overachiever. No one likes that. You're an overachiever. No one likes you, so that's why you probably like Russell Westbrook. But from one team, one guy breaking record to a team potentially breaking ground somewhere else. The A's plan on leaving Oakland. And I come from a generation that is used to change. And I'm all for change. But am I for change on this one? Am I for change on the Oakland A's leaving Oakland potentially? And I know that we're in talks for a new stadium. And I just read up, that's the reason why they're leaving. Potentially may leave. Because I was really confused. Because I remember, like last year, reading up on the A's potentially breaking ground on a new stadium. And apparently local officials in Oakland have not approved of it yet. And I'm not going to act like I know about Oakland politics, but I will say Oakland is one of the few places in the U.S. where it has soul. Chicago has soul. New York has soul. What I hear, New Orleans has soul. Atlanta has soul. Houston, what I hear, has soul. Nashville, Memphis has soul. Philadelphia has soul. Some parts in Virginia have soul. You get what I'm saying. DMV. And there's a reason St. Louis, and there's a reason for this. There's a reason why it's so great when St. Louis wins a World Series, the Cardinals win a World Series, or the Cubs win a World Series, or Philadelphia Eagles win a World Series, or not Philadelphia Eagles winning, Phillies winning World Series, Philadelphia Eagles winning a Super Bowl, because those cities have soul. They don't have the appeal of the flashing lights and the casinos and the celebrities, but they have soul. That's why it hasn't worked out in Los Angeles multiple times. It may work out this time, but there's a reason why it hasn't worked out. There's a reason why there were no teams in Vegas for a minute. And I do believe the Las Vegas Raiders are going to come back. Maybe not to Oakland, but they're not coming. They're going to leave Las Vegas. There's a reason for all of these things in the NFL. Now, Kamaal, why are you saying this? Are you saying this because you're a Jags fan and the Jags may leave one day? Yeah, maybe. But everything in life isn't about money. And it's about soul. And it's about passion. Buffalo, why is there a team in Buffalo? There's no need for a team in Buffalo. But Buffalo has soul. They have something to give more than money. Because I hear this all the time from people. You chase money and you don't chase a passion. Soon the money's going to get boring and you're not going to want to do it. They say money's is sort of a pointless goal. They say do what you love, do what you want to do. Constantly hear it from old people, from celebrities. Don't chase money. And that's what NFL is doing with 17 games, with moving to Las Vegas, moving to Los Angeles. They're running a very slippery slope. And it's always been about money. But at least they've been able to cover it up and act like, this isn't about money. This is about the sport. And they've sort of had a solid balance. Now, we're getting into the 21st century. New age. But I do believe that we do need to pump the brakes on maybe moving the A's and local officials in Oakland if that's the whole case. Of course, don't have all the details. Vote on the stadium. Help make this Oakland A's stay. Because that's the one franchise where when I see highlights on ESPN, there's always an Oakland A's fan there. They always show them. There's always a crowd of them. But anyways, keep the A's in Oakland. Oakland deserves a professional team. The Raiders will be back in Oakland. I do believe that. But let's get on to my predictions. So this Saturday, the FA Cup final between Leicester City and Chelsea. And this is the best chance, I believe, for Leicester. It is the best chance for Leicester because it's the only chance, but the best chance for Chelsea to win some silverware this year. And to really show how good the Thomas Tuchel era is going to be a good one. If they can win some silverware this year, and winning the FA Cup is no small feat. So I got Chelsea winning 2-1 over Leicester City, over the Foxes. Because Chelsea played Manchester City in the Champions League final. And you guys saw this game last weekend. And for people who don't understand that game, it was like if the Lakers played the Clippers in the regular season and they didn't play LeBron, AD, and the Clippers didn't play Kawhi and Paul George. That's how that game was. No team, no coach really wants to show his cards because there's a bigger game ahead, and Manchester City has already won the league. Chelsea are still fighting for Champions League position, but the game is pretty much over. And I will say this, Chelsea has had Manchester City's number this past year or so, beating them last year. Christian Pulisic scored a goal in that game, beating them in the FA Cup final. Beating them, not the FA Cup final, FA Cup semifinal, beating them recently last week. I don't remember the first fixture this season, but I believe Frank Lampard was the manager, so there's a possibility Chelsea could have lost. But anyways, FA Cup final, I got Chelsea 2-1 over the Foxes. Finally, A game I've predicted for the past 3 weeks. Liverpool versus United. I believe they play tomorrow. And I still got the same prediction. Liverpool 1-0 with a Fabinho goal. Liverpool need this game with Leicester City winning against Manchester United the other day. West Ham losing. Liverpool are still in it, but it looks like they're going to make Europa League. And as I said earlier, there's no need to play Europa League with a healthy Liverpool, with Virgil van Dijk. Hopefully, for Europa League players' sake, not for Liverpool fans, hopefully Mo Salah leaves somewhere else so it's a little bit more fair. Fairer. Because with Liverpool, with Virgil van Dijk, Thiago, Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, Alisson, healthy in goal, Matip, if they could get another center back. That Liverpool team are Premier League favorites next year, and they're going to be playing in Europa League. Last time I checked, the Premier League is a little bit more difficult than Europa League. 2 different competitions, but I am worried for any team who has to play Liverpool or any team in the Europa League next year, because there's really no point in playing it. Now, touched on this earlier. Play-in tournament. Play-in tournament starts next Tuesday. I don't know the schedule, but I believe the 7 and 8 teams will play first in the first games, and then the 9 and 10 seeds will play in the next game. That's what I believe should happen. So the 7 8 seed team, if they lose, whoever loses that game gets a longer break because they deserve it. Anyways, so if the standings stand how they are now, these are the teams that are going to play each other. So we'll start with the Eastern Conference. I'll give you my predictions of the first 2 games, and then I'll give you the prediction of the third game. So, Hornets versus Celtics. That's how it's looking right now. It looks like the Celtics will be the 7th seed, Hornets will be the 8th seed. So, I believe how they're working it is Celtics are going to be home. So, Celtics versus the Hornets. You heard my criticism on the Celtics. But experience matters. And if the better team matters also. A constant thing that we try to overlook. Chemistry. How well the coaching is. Sometimes it just comes down to who's the better team. And the Celtics are a better team, even without Jaylen Brown. I think this is going to be an interesting game. I think a lot of people are going to be watching LaMelo Ball for the first time. So that'd be exciting. But Hornets versus Celtics, I got the Celtics. Next game. Wizards versus Pacers. It will be in Indiana. This is single elimination. Bradley Beal is planned to be back by then. I think he may be back this week. I think they just expect him to sit for 2 games. But, again, what team is better? In single elimination, there are upsets, but sometimes it comes down which team is better. And the professional leagues, upsets more or less happen in the regular season. This is the playoffs, single elimination. I don't expect upsets in a single elimination game. I got the Wizards beating the Pacers in Indiana. So, with that, Wizards will now play the Hornets in the second round or the battle for the 8th seed. I don't think this is a surprise pick, Wizards or Hornets. But I got the Hornets. The Hornets will be home. The Hornets are a solid matchup, I believe, against the Wizards. I believe they can score with them, and I believe they can play solid enough defense against the Wizards in the playoffs. I got the surprise, bold pick, the Hornets to make the Eastern Conference playoffs 2021. They're the 8th seed, so in the regular season, they will probably be there. So the 7 and 8 seeds still progress to the playoffs in my prediction in the Eastern Conference. So now to the Western Conference. It looks like the first game, or the 7-8 game, will be Golden State at Los Angeles. Yes, the Lakers are the 7 seed, Warriors are the 8 seed. And I still believe Steph Curry still has a chance for MVP this year for willing this Warriors team to an 8th seed. This young Warriors team with Wiseman getting injured, no Klay Thompson, Jeremiah Green getting injured part of the season. I believe Steph got injured for part of the season. But the Lakers, as I said, the Lakers are probably going to sweep or beat the Suns in 5 games. I don't think it's going to be a very fair matchup. It's a good match. I don't think it's a good matchup for the Suns. I don't think this is a good matchup for the Warriors. So this is a very difficult one, and I don't think this is a controversial one either. The Lakers going to become the 7th seed, playing the Suns in the first round. Oh, and the Celtics will play the Nets most likely, and the Hornets will play the 76ers most likely. Good for the 76ers getting the first seed. I just have to say that real quick. Congratulations to them. They needed that because I believe they would have gotten knocked out in the second round. They played the Bucks or the Nets. Anyways, Grizzlies Spurs. This is probably the game that's going to the game that people are. It's like, we don't want to watch this. Grizzlies versus Spurs, both teams. Now, this is going to be a good game. I believe Coach Pop will have a good game plan. We've never seen an elite coach do this before, right? Who are the coaches? Steve Kerr. You can consider Steve Kerr as an elite coach, but I don't think Steve Kerr is a Popovich. We've never seen an elite coach in this predicament before. Maybe Game 7s, but single elimination. This is why the playing tournament is so great. Greg Popovich, single elimination against the Grizzlies. Spurs, I believe, are going to be away. They're going to go to Memphis. And I got the Grizzlies. Yes, with all that said, Greg Popovich, we've never seen him in this situation. I do believe that he will have a good game plan, but I got the Grizzlies. And that is because they have the best player. In most of my picks that you will notice, I'm usually just pick the guys with the best team. I do believe chemistry plays a factor, but it's a different age, different era where the best player just is totally dominant in this era of sports. Football, basketball, soccer, real football, soccer, where the best player is usually the deciding factor in who wins or loses. And the Grizzlies have the best player in John Morant at home, and they have Grayson Allen, so that's expected. So next game will be Grizzlies versus Warriors. Now, this is probably an easier decision than the Warriors-Lakers pick. That's and I got the Warriors. Why? It's very simple. Steph Curry. I don't think I need to explain any more, any less. My MVP. Jokic will probably win it. Well-deserved Jokic. Happy. Jokic is probably very happy. Doesn't have to play LeBron in the first round. There's 3 seed. So who's the 6th seed in the West? The Trailblazers? Oh, man. I'm telling you, this playoffs is going to be a very fun, interesting playoffs. You know, if the Lakers win on Tuesday, which I believe they will, as I said, they're talking about this week break. The Lakers are going to get a good break. A good break. A solid break. I don't know 100% when the playoffs start, but they probably start Monday, Saturday, Sunday. Max. And they're going to get a little break now. Play one game within Play 2 games in 1 week. And I believe they're going to sweep. The Lakers are going to be fine. Anyways, that's the podcast, you all. Thank you for listening. I may be shortening up the podcast. I'm thinking about it. This podcast, I sort of ranted a little bit more than I expected. I looked at the script. But anyways, thank you for listening to the Peng Sports Podcast. And it's truly appreciated. I don't do this for the views. I do this. This is some of my therapy, man. Releasing some of my energy. But thank you guys for listening. Always. And again, don't do it for the views. I know I'm talking to 10 to 12 to 11 people. Probably I'm talking to 5 people. Because I know people watch it over and over again. But thank you for listening. I truly appreciate it. Again, not doing this to get big. Not doing this to get famous. Doing this to have a good time and doing something, I hear all the time, again, most failures in life are the people that don't even try. And I want to try it. I'm trying it out. I've been doing it for 11 weeks. I don't think I'm in the trial stage anymore. I think I'm in the committed stage. But again, thank you all for listening to the Peng Sports Podcast, episode 11. Please have a good week. Pick up some trash if you see it laying around on the ground. Yeah, it's not yours. You don't know where it's been. Put some hand sanitizer on. I know you got it in your car. Pick up some trash. Thank you guys again. This is the Peng Sports Podcast, episode 11 with Kamaal Daniels. Thank you.